Have you ever sat in silence, only to realize that your mind was anything but quiet? It keeps talking, whispering doubts, replaying past conversations, and forecasting a future that hasn't even happened. You try to focus on the now, but your thoughts pull you in 10 different directions. It's like being stuck in a noisy marketplace with no way out. But what if the real noise wasn't outside, but within? Most people don't even realize they're trapped in this mental storm. They live each day on autopilot, reacting to every thought as if it were truth, every worry as if it were prophecy. The mind throws images, fears, and stories at us and we believe them. We argue with people who aren't there. We rehearse confrontations that never happen. We relive wounds that should have healed. Isn't it exhausting to live like that? The chaos doesn't stop because we feed it. We believe that thinking more will solve everything. Our relationships, our anxieties, our pain. So we keep digging through the mind like searching for treasure in a storm. But the mind isn't always a wise guide. Sometimes it's just a mirror of fear, echoing back the same doubts over and over. Have you ever questioned the voice in your head? In Buddhist teachings, this constant stream of thought is called monkey mind, always jumping from branch to branch, never resting, never quiet. But what if, instead of chasing it, you simply watched it, not judging, not reacting, just observing? That's the beginning of awareness. And awareness is the seed of freedom. Stillness is not the absence of thought. It's the space in which thought passes, like clouds drifting across a sky. You are not the clouds, you are the sky. When you realize this, the chaos no longer owns you. The mind may keep talking, but you don't have to listen to every word. Isn't that a kind of peace you've been seeking all along? Imagine standing at a busy intersection where thoughts are like cars rushing in from all directions. Most people try to direct traffic, shouting at each thought, trying to stop some and speed up others. But the enlightened ones, they step back from the road and simply watch. What happens when you stop interfering with your mind's traffic and just observe the flow? The more you fight your thoughts, the louder they become. Resistance gives them power. It's like wrestling with shadows. They only seem real if you engage. But when you soften, when you breathe and let them pass, you realize they're just visitors. Thoughts come and go, but awareness remains. Who is it then that is watching? Sometimes, the mind replays the same painful story, not because it enjoys suffering, but because it hasn't been heard with compassion. When we pause and listen without judgment, even the loudest thoughts soften. Could it be that the voice in your head is just a child seeking to be understood? There is great wisdom in stillness. The Buddha often taught not through complexity, but through presence. When the mind becomes quiet, the heart begins to speak, and its language is not words. It's peace, clarity, trust. Have you allowed your heart a chance to speak beneath the noise? We try to silence the mind by force, but silence isn't something we make. It's something we notice when we stop trying. Like the stars appearing only when the sky grows dark, silence reveals itself when we surrender control. Isn't it ironic that in letting go, we finally find what we've been chasing? Every thought claims urgency. Fix this now, figure that out, don't forget. But when everything feels urgent, nothing is truly important. The constant buzzing of the mind drowns out the gentle truths within. What would happen if, just for today, you stopped chasing every mental alarm and started listening inward? We often confuse thinking with solving. But spinning in circles isn't movement, it's just motion without direction. The mind may keep talking, but not everything it says is useful. Would you let a confused friend drive your car? Then why let your anxious mind steer your life? Not all thoughts are your own. Some are echoes of parents, society, past wounds. They speak in your voice but carry someone else's fear. Silence isn't just about peace, it's about recognizing what's truly yours. Have you questioned where your inner dialogue really comes from? In Buddhism, we learn that the mind is like a lake. When stirred, it becomes murky. But when left alone, it clears. Only then can we see the reflection of truth. If your thoughts are muddy today, maybe the answer isn't thinking harder, but waiting patiently for the stillness to return. Stillness isn't empty, it's full of wisdom. In the quiet moments between thoughts, the soul breathes. And in that breath, you remember something deeper than memory. That who you are is not the noise, but the awareness beneath it. Could this be the silence you've been missing? We often try to escape the chaos in our minds by distracting ourselves, scrolling, consuming, numbing. But distraction is not freedom. It only places a curtain between you and the noise, not silence. True peace arises not when you run away, but when you turn inward, breathe, and sit with it. How long have you been avoiding your own presence? The mind loves unfinished business. It replays conversations, regrets, what-ifs, should-haves. Like a ghost clinging to unspoken words, it lingers in the past. But the past cannot be fixed, can only be understood. Can you look at your pain not as a problem, but as a teacher, still waiting to be heard? There is a silence that is not absence, but presence. In meditation, this silence is not the absence of sound, it's the absence of resistance. You don't need to force your mind to be quiet. You only need to stop feeding the noise. Are you willing to sit still long enough to hear what silence really sounds like? Sometimes clarity doesn't arrive as a voice. It comes as a shift, subtle but deep. The thought that once caused panic suddenly loses its grip. The fear that once felt urgent now feels like a memory. This is the gift of presence. Not louder answers, but quieter reactions. What if healing doesn't speak, it listens? If you listen carefully, you'll notice that the loudest part of your mind is not the wisest. Wisdom whispers. It speaks in pauses, in breath, in the space between worries. To hear it, you don't need more effort, you need less. Less judgment, less urgency, less control. Are you ready to trust the whisper more than the noise? When the mind won't stop talking, it's often because something inside us hasn't been truly heard. Beneath every racing thought is an unacknowledged feeling, fear of being alone, guilt left unspoken, grief waiting patiently. The noise is a distraction from the real message. So instead of silencing your mind, try listening with your heart. What emotion is asking to be seen? We are taught to manage our time, but rarely to manage our attention. Your mind will always offer 1,000 things to worry about, but you get to choose what you water, what you tend to. If your inner garden is filled with weeds of fear, it is not because you are broken, it's because you've been too busy to pull them. Can you slow down enough to care for your own soil? There is a strange comfort in mental chaos, it feels familiar. We wear it like old clothing, even when it chafes. But comfort is not the same as peace. Chaos is loud because it fears silence. In silence, illusions die and truth becomes visible. The question is not whether your mind is noisy, but whether you are brave enough to face what lies beneath the noise. Sometimes the mind is like a crowded room where every voice is demanding attention, but not every voice is true. Some are wounded parts of you repeating old stories. Some are echoes from people long gone. When you observe these voices without judgment, they begin to lose their power. You are not the voices, you are the one listening. Have you ever noticed how the mind clings to the worst possibilities and ignores the quiet miracles? A single negative thought can echo louder than 10 blessings. But this is not because blessings are few, it's because we've forgotten how to notice them. Stillness is not just about calming thoughts. It's about tuning into the goodness that was always there, waiting. Many believe that peace comes when the world quiets down, when problems are solved and life becomes predictable. But that kind of peace is fragile. It shatters the moment life shifts. True peace is found in the eye of the storm, not in the absence of storms. It's the quiet center within you that never moves, even when everything else does. Have you ever touched that still point inside yourself? The more we try to control our thoughts, the more they rebel. It's like trying to hold water in your hands, tighten your grip, and it slips through faster. But when you cup your palms gently, the water stays. Your thoughts are not enemies, they're just energy seeking attention. What would change if you met them with kindness instead of control? Sometimes, your loudest thoughts aren't even yours. They come from old teachers, critical parents, society's expectations. They disguise themselves as your own voice, but they are echoes of what you were told, not what you truly believe. Part of healing is learning to ask, whose voice is this? Before you obey it. Stillness is not a place you find, it is a skill you remember. Like returning to a childhood memory, you don't create it, you rediscover it. It's in your breath, your footsteps, your gaze. You don't need to travel far. You only need to be fully where you are. Can you allow yourself, even for a moment, to stop reaching and simply arrive? You are not broken because your mind is loud. You are not failing because you haven't silenced your thoughts. Healing isn't about achieving permanent silence. It's about no longer being afraid of the noise. The chaos may return, but so will your awareness. Again and again, like waves returning to the shore. That, too, is mindfulness. There are days when the mind feels like 1,000 tabs open, each playing a different song. You try to close one, and 3 more pop up. In those moments, don't fight, breathe. Each inhale is an anchor, each exhale a release. The thoughts will keep singing, but you don't have to join the choir. You can simply listen, and then, slowly, let them fade. Not all thoughts are meant to be answered. Some are simply passing clouds. But we treat everyone as urgent, giving them energy they don't deserve. What if you allowed your thoughts to float by without catching them? What if you trusted that your soul knows what's important, and the rest can simply dissolve? In the midst of inner chaos, we often seek distractions, scrolling endlessly, staying busy, consuming noise. But silence is not the enemy. It's the teacher we avoid. What if the discomfort you feel in stillness is not punishment, but the doorway to freedom? The mind fears silence only because silence tells the truth. The voice in your head isn't always wise. It's just persistent. But wisdom doesn't shout. It whispers. It comes in quiet moments. A breeze on your cheek, the weight of your body on the ground, the pause between breaths. To hear it, you must slow down enough to notice. Are you willing to wait for the whisper? You don't have to fix the chaos in your mind today. You only need to be present with it. Like sitting with a crying friend, you don't hush them, you hold space. Your mind is not your enemy. It's a part of you that's still learning to feel safe. And safety begins when you stop running from your own thoughts. When a pond is disturbed, it becomes cloudy. But if left undisturbed, clarity returns on its own. The same is true for the mind. You don't need to fix the thoughts, Ernie, to stop stirring them. Give your mind the gift of non-interference, and like clear water, your wisdom will rise from the stillness. Some thoughts repeat, not because they're important, but because they are unresolved. They knock on your door over and over, asking to be seen. But not all require answers. Some simply want acknowledgement, like a child tugging at your sleeve. When was the last time you truly sat with what you feel, without trying to escape? You are not your mind. You are the space in which your mind moves. Just as the sky is not affected by passing clouds, your true self remains untouched by fleeting thoughts. Identifying with every mental storm only creates suffering. But the moment you step back and witness, you begin to remember your freedom. We spend so much time seeking silence in the outer world, quiet rooms, peaceful places, noise-canceling devices. But the loudest noise is always within. True peace comes not when you silence the world, but when you make peace with the inner voices. Which one are you listening to today? The critic, the warrior, or the observer? Every chaotic thought is a doorway. Behind it is a wound, and behind that, a longing. Often, it's not about fixing anything. It's about listening deeply enough to understand the need beneath the noise. What is your mind trying to tell you? Not in words, but in ache, in tension, in the places you avoid looking. Sometimes the mind clings to noise because silence feels unfamiliar. We have lived so long in inner commentary that quiet feels like emptiness. But what if that emptiness is space for something greater? A space where clarity, compassion, and wisdom can bloom if only we stop filling it with unnecessary words. A single breath can return you home. Not to a place, but to a state of presence. Inhale and feel the now. Exhale and let go of the illusion that everything must be figured out. The mind's chaos loses its power when met with gentle awareness. You don't control the storm, but you can choose where you stand. Some people carry a war in their minds every day, a battle between past mistakes and future worries. But you are not your past. You are not your fears. You are this moment, this breath, this heartbeat. What happens when you lay down your weapons and choose to be gentle with your own mind? The more we chase peace, the further it slips away. Because peace isn't a prize to earn, it's a presence to return to. It's already within you, waiting in the silence behind thought. Will you allow yourself to stop running? Will you sit, breathe, and simply be? Your mind may never be completely quiet. That's okay. The goal isn't silence, it's understanding. Learning to listen without being ruled. Observing without being consumed. You can have a busy mind and still live a peaceful life. The shift begins the moment you remember. You are not your thoughts. You are the witness. There comes a moment when we stop asking how to silence the mind, and instead ask, how can I listen with love? The mind, like a child, doesn't need to be silenced, needs to be heard, seen, and guided with kindness. What would change if you treated your inner chaos not as an enemy, but as a friend calling for attention? Silence is not the absence of thoughts, is the space that allows them to come and go without judgment. It is not about stopping the waves, but learning to surf with grace. The world within you is vast. Don't try to control it all. Just learn to float, to witness, to breathe. When the mind is loud, remember, the moon does not fear the barking dogs. It simply shines. Your stillness is your strength. Even in the chaos, you can choose to pause, to return to yourself, to remember that your essence is untouched by the noise. So the next time your mind won't stop talking, don't fight it. Sit with it, breathe through it. Let the thoughts pass like clouds in a vast sky. Beneath them, your awareness remains untouched and changing. That is your true refuge. That is where you are already free. The chaos will return, again and again. But now you know the way back. Not through resistance, but through stillness. Not by pushing thoughts away, but by watching them pass. You are not lost, you are simply learning how to come home to yourself. And that, dear listener, is where peace has always waited.